Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tracy Philippi. I'm the outreach librarian here in Cottage Grove. So happy to see you all here for our lunch and learn today with the Decluttering Queen. A couple of housekeeping tips here. We are recording this presentation, so you will be able to go back and rewatch Katie's presentation in case you have any questions. But also, if you don't want to have your image shared on the library board's YouTube channel, feel free to keep your camera off. It's a very thorough presentation. Katie has a lot of content to cover today. So if any questions arise, please just put those in the chat and then I will ask those at the very end of the presentation. We also have many virtual programs coming up in March, so I'm just going to list those and I will put more details in the chat box as well. So on March 5th, we have a lunch and learn with the League of Women Voters about early and absentee voting at 12 o'clock. On March 6th, we have Prairie Grove Insurance coming at 6 p.m. to talk about Medicare. On March 20th, we have a Ohio-based author named Jason Dutton who will be doing a virtual author talk at 6 p.m. And on March 27th, we have the Wisconsin Historical Society talking about genealogy. That is at 6 p.m. as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce today's speaker. Katie Zurawski is a professional organizer and blogger based in Northeast Wisconsin. Calling herself the Decluttering Queen, Katie's goal is to help others discover the peace and serenity waiting for them underneath all that clutter. Through workshops, online decluttering challenges, and her blog, Katie hopes to encourage and equip others with practical strategies to live a great life with less stuff. Great. So I'm going to pass it over to Katie. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very excited to be with you today. I have a lot of information to share, and this is the first time this content has been available. So the first time I'm doing this presentation, and I'm really grateful and thankful to share it with you all today. As I was putting this together, one thought really stuck out in my mind, and it's the thought that organizing is for everyone, but we all approach it in a different way. And that's going to be based on our lifestyle, our personality. Um, and this guide is to show you how to use your personality and lifestyle to really start organizing and decluttering your home and your surroundings. So, organizing and decluttering for everyone. A little bit about me. My name is Katie Zurawski. I'm a professional organizer based in Oshkosh. And my main goal is to help others find the great life that they deserve that's hidden underneath all that stuff. And for me, it's really not about the stuff. And for a lot of clients, it's not about the stuff. I help people get started when they can't do it on their own and they just don't know where to begin. Now, why does organizing and decluttering matter? Organizing matters because it brings clarity, efficiency, and control to different aspects of life. There's organizing at work, at home, for your personal goals. Life is crazy enough. If you have kids, or maybe you're in the later part of life, you have a lot of demands. So, organizing the things in your home helps you control one aspect of your life when everything else feels so out of control. It helps you pivot when you need to focus on what's most important, which typically is not your stuff. Also, every room, everything in your home produces a feeling or emotion within you. And this feeling can be positive, it can be negative, or a combination of both. Here are some benefits to organizing. First off, it allows for more creativity within your home and within your life. When you have fewer distractions, your mind has more space to think, innovate, create. It also saves time. When things are in order, you spend less time searching for items, searching for files, searching for information. This could be your mudroom where you keep your car keys in your purse. You know, you're always searching for your car keys. This could also be like your Pinterest board. Maybe you have so many different things in your Pinterest board that are unorganized and you can't find that recipe when you want it. Being organized in these different areas allows us to save time. It also boosts productivity. When you have organized tasks, you have priorities, it helps you focus on what's more important to get things done. It enhances your decision making. When things are structured, you can make clear and informed decisions and choices without feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Also, you can save money when you're more organized. I have a lot of people that will buy duplicates. It's so easy just to order from Amazon because I can't find that certain kitchen utensil. When you're organized, you're more likely to be able to find it and use it and not buy duplicates. It also helps you keep track of expenses and bills, and prevents that unnecessary stress of just not knowing where things are. And then lastly, it reduces stress. A clutter-free space and structured schedule lowers anxiety, improves your mental well-being, just gives you that relaxation within your own home. I like to say organizing isn't about being perfect. It isn't about having things in rainbow order or having your pantry look pristine. It's about creating systems that work for you to make life smoother and more manageable. So today, you will learn how to recognize and identify your unique organizing style, the psychology of clutter. Why do we have clutter in our home? And if we do, the 5-step decluttering process. And this process I use with pretty much every client. It's proven to work regardless really of your personality or lifestyle. It'll work for you as well. And then decluttering strategies that for every personality type. So I know I have this personality type. How can I use the decluttering strategies to work for my benefits? You will also leave with a roadmap of 4 spaces and zones to create in your home today. My super tips for getting and staying organized. Getting organized is just part of it. Staying organized is the other half of the battle. And then an action plan for how you can begin today. So first off, let's talk about different organizing styles. There's mainly 4 types of organizing styles, and you might fall into one or you might fall into a couple of them. First, there is the visual organizer. So a visual organizer needs to see everything. They respond well to visual cues like colors and pictures. They're usually like the more creative type that likes to have things out to see what they would like to use. If you've ever had someone say, I need to see what I have, they're usually a visual organizer. Then there's a minimalist. I would say I fall into the minimalist in many areas. We prefer fewer items or more stored away and out of sight. So if you like closed shelving units, closed bookcases, closed cabinets, if you like clear surfaces, you're probably a minimalist. Then we have the maximalist. Maximalists love the more the merrier. I'm a maximalist when it comes to holiday decor. So I love holiday decor. It's one of my things. They also love collections and decor, and their homes are often organized, but in layers. So I'm very organized with my home decor, but I have many different layers of it. I have the pillows and the throws, the decorations, the garland. So we often have these collections, but it's the more the merrier type approach. And then we have sentimental keepers. You might be one, or you might have a loved one that's a sentimental keeper. They attach emotions to objects. Also, they have a hard time parting with things a loved one have owned or gifted them. So if you want to try to think, which organizing style are you most like? So I fall between a minimalist and a maximalist. So if you're not sure, how could you learn more or dive into this thought process more? Walk around your home. Check out your kitchen, your office, your bedroom, closet. How do you store things? How do you sort and find things? Now you might say, well, I don't sort and find things right now. But if you could pick one area where you're most organized, how are you organized in that area? You could also ask others, ask your loved ones, ask coworkers, what personality type do you think I am? So how we organize our stuff at home is often how we organize our stuff at work, our stuff in the car, our mind, our thought process. We often don't stray away from what comes most naturally to us. And then look online. If you're not sure, hey, what kind of organizing do I like? Go on Pinterest, go on websites, look at organizing videos or how to's, and look at how they organize things. What appeals to you most? So when I look at them, I see the closed cabinets, things put away, and that appeals to me most. For you, it might be that rainbow decor, it might be bright colors. Why this is important is knowing your organizing style helps you decide what that end result is going to look like for you, how you approach it. Because you might have me come in and want to work with you, but if I try to approach it from a minimalist standpoint and that isn't your style, it's not going to work for you. So if you go in knowing, hey, I'm a maximalist, I like collections, you can feel comfortable and also like, hey, it's okay. I have these collections. It's just part of my personality. And you can let that guilt piece go of it. All right, first off, the psychology of clutter. At the beginning, I said, it's really not about the stuff. And it really isn't. There's a lot of mindsets around clutter. So by shifting our mindset, we can organize by thinking of what's keeping and what's adding value and not just getting rid of things. So organizing is about keeping what adds value and not just getting rid of things. So if you look at these reasons, one of the first ones listed up above is the lack of time and or routine. And this is so true. We just don't have enough time in our day to declutter or organize. It's kind of like procrastinating. Like, you should change the oil in your car, but you don't have time to do it right now. So you just keep putting it off and putting it off until eventually the car doesn't run anymore. And then you have to put the oil in. So it's kind of like you keep running at both ends and eventually you're just going to run out and get super frustrated with your home. And that might be where you're at right now. And that's okay. I'll show you how to move forward in just a little bit. We also have a fear of needing it later. Hey, I don't want to get rid of that. It's useful. I might need it later. Often this is what I see as more of a generational thing. So like my mother's generation is definitely in the keep it, we might need it in the future. I think as we go more younger generations are kind of letting that go. And unfortunately, it's probably because Amazon makes it so easy to order anything we need at any point that we don't have to go run to the store and take physical time to go purchase something. We can easily acquire it online. We have emotional attachment. Emotional attachment can mean kind of a number of different things. So it could represent a memory that we want to keep or hold on to. So if we let go of the item, we feel like we're forgetting the memory, the moments. We're saying goodbye to that chapter in our life. This could be an emotional attachment to baby clothes or baby toys. And now your children are 5 and 6, or you just don't need them anymore. It could be an emotional attachment to a suit that you used to wear at your favorite job and now you're retired, but it's hard to get rid of that suit because it represents that moment in time. So that's the emotional attachment. I run into this a lot, and just really checking yourself as you're decluttering, you will get overwhelmed and you might experience decision fatigue. It's very exhausting, both physically and mentally, to declutter. It also is highly emotional for some areas that you're working with. So as you start working, if you're starting to feel overwhelmed and decision fatigue, it's because it's a hard thing to do. When I work with clients, I usually try to work at a max of 3 hours. So my recommendation is if you're deciding you want to really take the bull by the horns and start organizing your home, work in max time limits of 3 hours. And you'll see right around that 3 hour mark, you are exhausted and ready to be done. You're ready to stop making decisions. A lot of people keep things because of a lack of clarity. What do I mean by that? Well, we aren't sure in two kind of different areas. The first area where we lack clarity is the relevance the item has in my life. So, is this item still important to me? Does it represent who I am or who I want to be? So, a lack of clarity. An example would be knitting supplies. Maybe you used to knit, or knitting was something that you wanted to take up as a hobby. Well, now it's been 2 years and the knitting stuff's still there, and you're just not sure if you want to do it again. So there's a lack of clarity in that specific area. The second arena in which we can lack clarity would be, I don't know what to do with this. I don't want it, but do I recycle it? Is it recyclable? Where do I take it? Does this thing have value that I could recoup? So you're kind of in that limbo stage of, I don't want it, but I don't know what to do with it. Maybe it's electronics. Where do I send all these electronics? So it's just a lack of clarity on what to do next. What's the best next step? And then lastly, we keep things out of guilt. Maybe we spent money on it and we never used it, but we can't get rid of it. It still has the price tags on it. I spent $20 on it. Or maybe the guilt of, I received this as a gift at my wedding, at my birthday. I feel guilty giving it away because it was something that my mother gave me or my husband gave me. So there's guilt. So all or some of these will come up with when you declutter in your home, especially if you start on some kind of larger project. The key here is just to notice when you're having these feelings and then knowing how to work beyond them, how to work through them. So here's a true story. Most people quit before they even start. So decluttering, organizing is a lot like weight loss. A lot of people want to, they might try it for a day or two and then they're like, this is too hard. I just need to be done. Or there's a lot of fear, like, I want to do this. I just don't know where to start. Or I just feel so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to begin. So our goal today is to just start somewhere, even if it's somewhere really small. So if you're ready, leap in. If you're not, start small. So if you're ready to take the leap into a larger project, do it. But if you're not, do something, because small steps lead to bigger goals and bigger accomplishments. Not one of my hated phrases, but one of my disliked phrases is, I'll wait for spring because that's a perfect time. Or I'll wait till after school starts because that's the perfect time. There is never a perfect time to organize and declutter. Are there more ideal times? Sure. But even starting somewhere is better than not starting at all. So don't say it's not the right time. Just start something small that you can do today. All right, now we're going to kind of jump into the decluttering process that I pretty much do with every single client. Now, this could happen in a day. This could happen over weeks. It all kind of depends on the area you're trying to organize, how large the project is, and also how much time you have to dedicate to it. So you might not get to step 4, which is contain and label, until a week from now, and that's okay. So just going through the process is what's going to be most important. And when I say going through the process, if you're going to do something, I strongly suggest you do it all the way. You're going to want to skip certain things. Try to stick to the different steps and complete them until you move on to the next one. Now, one of my best tips, which I often forget, is to take before pics. So take before pictures of your space so that after you get done, you can take that awesome after pic. Even if you don't share with anyone else, it can just be a good, aha, I did awesome moment for yourself. Okay, so the first step of the decluttering process is to define what you want to accomplish. What is your goal? What is your plan? Later on, I'm going to show you what a good planning worksheet might look like, but you need to define why you want to declutter and how you will do it. So an example would be, I want to organize my spices. I'm going to keep it probably in this drawer. I want to get rid of some, but I want to make it easier for me to find what I'm looking for. I also want to get rid of all those duplicates or anything expired. So defining what you want to accomplish. I suggest writing this down. Writing down ideas often helps me really get to the root of what I'm trying to accomplish or what my thoughts and feelings are on subjects. The second step is to sort. This step takes the longest. So let's say I'm working in an office and I have a desk full of stuff and drawers full of stuff. What you're going to start doing is just pulling out a drawer, putting it all into, like, let's say a big pile. And then you're going to start sorting. You're going to sort in two different ways. First, you're going to sort into categories. Categories would be, in an office example, would be an everyday pencil, scissors, utensils that I use. Another category could be papers I need. Another category, I just worked with a client, with an office, he had fidgets. So fidgets would be a category. A category, he had lots of music stuff and guitar. So music was a category. He had magazines. He had household, like, not appliances, but household project stuff, like lamps that need kind of stuff. That went into that category. As you start going, you're going to be like, I don't even know what category this is. Start its own little pile. And as you keep going, you'll see that there are themes that keep coming up. Oh yeah, I keep pulling up this stuff of things that need to go out in the garage. So you're going to sort things by categories. That's your first way of sorting. The second, which kind of goes along at the same time, is you're going to be separating things by either keeping it, trashing it, donating or selling it, or you might have a category of things that need to go somewhere else. Now, what do I mean by that? Things that need to go somewhere else would be, in my example of the office, I have things for the garage. So it'd be things that need to go in the garage. It could also be things that need to get returned to someone else, returned to a child's bedroom, returned to my mom when I head over to her house tomorrow. Or it could be things that need to get returned to a store, returned to the library, things like that. So things that are don't belong in this room. So sorting. And as you keep going, you just keep going through layers. So you'll go through one drawer, you'll go through the next drawer, you'll pull out all the things and just sort that one area. Do I want to keep this? Okay, yes, I do. Which category does it go into? Now, the third step kind of goes along with the sorting. It's making quick decisions. So the 5-second rule, but touch each item. So at the beginning, we talked about how it's not about the stuff, it's about our feelings behind the stuff. When you touch an item, you'll feel your emotions around it. Does it feel good? Do I feel guilt? Do I love it? Everything in your home has some type of, you have some type of feeling about it. That's why Mary Kondo, or I think her Mary Kondo, talks about having, does it spark joy? It's that feeling behind it. But as you're touching it, kind of make a quick decision. If you're not sure, just put it in a maybe pile. I do a lot of maybes. Like when I work with clients, sometimes they're like, I don't know, Katie. I don't know what this cord goes to. I don't know if we need it. I said, let's just set that aside right now. Maybe it'll come to us in a little bit. And it usually does. So just setting stuff into a maybe pile, or let's revisit that in a second pile, works wonders. Also, don't get distracted by cool things. So make quick decisions. So if you are a creative, or if you just like cool things and you're going through your kid's toy room, or you're going through photos, maybe you're sorting all your photos, don't get distracted by all the cool things. Try to stay on task as much as you can. Okay, so you've gone through the process. You made your action. You started sorting into categories. You made some quick decisions. Now you have all this stuff here in different categories. This is all stuff at this point should be stuff you want to keep. What do we do next? So typically we don't know what containers we might need at this point, especially if you're doing something in one day. So you might have to use temporary containers, which is okay. Maybe you have some boxes, cardboard boxes you want to use. You have some shopping bags, something like that, just to kind of contain those things so they don't get mixed in with other categories until you can get the containers you need. You want to start putting things away. So I have this top drawer. What do I want to put in this top drawer? Look at your categories. What would make sense? Start putting those things away. If you need storage solutions, this would be your time to measure. Measure how deep is a drawer? How tall is a drawer? What kind of solutions might fit in there? Do I have anything around my house I can already use? We have lots of great Pinterest worthy photos of beautifully organized spaces. A lot of my clients here in Wisconsin like to use what they have. We like to go find things in the basement, use those laundry basket, use those cardboard boxes, use what we have. It saves you money. So don't feel like you need to go spend thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars to make a beautiful space. Now, you can if you want to, but even having something temporarily in a container that maybe isn't the prettiest allows you to try it out and decide if this solution really works or not. I might have thought it would have been great, but really, I don't need it. So it helps you kind of try before you buy and commit to it. When you're buying containers, this is kind of where the psychology of clutter comes in, or the personality types. You might prefer containers that are opaque that you can't see through, or you might prefer containers that are completely clear that you can see what's inside. You might like wicker ones. You might prefer drawers that are organized into little containers, or maybe ones that aren't. Or maybe like a cup on your table. It's all about your preferences. It's just a matter of containing them and making them make sense in the space. So after you contain and label, then you want to maintain the system. So what does this mean? Well, I'm a professional organizer and I have to come back into my home constantly and keep it going with the organizing and decluttering. Things are constantly coming into your home, especially if you have kids. They're constantly going through different sizes of clothing. They're bringing trinkets home from school. Their birthday comes up and they get new gifts. If you're a creative type, I'm a scrapbooker. I'm constantly buying new scrapbooking stuff, new tools, or just realizing, hey, I'm not doing this style anymore. Things are evolving in your home, changing. So decluttering and what you keep and how you organize it is also going to change, but you want to maintain it over time. What do I mean by maintain? So some areas of your home you're going to set up and you're not going to have to go back and really do much with going forward. This might be maybe a basement organization. It could also be setting up your living room furniture and kind of your games and what that looks like. Other areas you need to work on almost weekly. My pantry is quite small and I have it very beautifully organized, but I have to go in there once a week for 10 minutes and just kind of rearrange things and make sure that everything's kind of in its place. The same with my mudroom. Right now it's winter. We have coats, hats, boots. I have to go in quite often and just get it back to what I call zero. Zero is like, okay, when it is organized, it looks like this. So maintaining the system going forward is that last step. All right, I love this page because this is real life. This is how decluttering strategies can really work for different personalities. So if you look back at your notes, did you think you were a visual organizer, a minimalist, a maximalist, a sentimental? So for visual organizers, if you said that was you would work best with open shelving. You want clear containers because you want to see what's inside. You like color order and you like labels. Now, I'm the minimalist. I like the one in, one out rule. I do this with my closet. I only have a certain number of hangers, and I told myself, you are not allowed to buy any more hangers. So anytime I get something new in my closet, I have to take something out. I like closed cabinets. And minimalists also like capsule wardrobes. So the less, the more for them. They don't like that decision of having to choose what to wear in the morning. They like just 3 or 4 things to choose from. If you're the maximalist, you love beautiful display areas that you can show all your different collections. If you're maximalist as like a mother, maybe you'd prefer toy rotation, rotating those toys out. A maximalist will benefit if they limit the collections. So it's okay to have collections. Just really decide, is this something I want to collect? Because that's a commitment. That's a commitment of not only your time and energy, but also the space in your home. So maybe you could say, I really like collecting this, but not so much this. And you can let that other collection go. The sentimental keeper. Digital keepsakes are really helpful. Memory boxes, determining the best of the best, and focusing on the emotion versus the object. So sentimental keepers really feel that emotion when they see that item. One strategy, if you're sentimental, is to take a picture of the item before you donate or toss it. Another strategy for sentimental is, okay, I have 7 different plates, like those dessert plates, those beautiful clear dessert plates. I have 7 of those. Why don't I pick out my favorite 2 and let the rest go? So limiting how many of the special things, keeping the best of the best. You can do that with pictures as well. Like when you look through pictures, does that picture really tell the story? If it doesn't, why am I keeping it? Now, if you have ADD or ADHD, I work with a lot of people that have ADHD, and I think organizing becomes difficult for them. For if you feel like that might be you, or if you feel like you try to organize but you get distracted, you don't get very far, some things that'll help you is to set a timer. Set a timer for 10 minutes and say, I'm just going to organize this one space. And when the time's up, I am free to go do something else. ADHD clients also really like visual cues and they like structure. So it doesn't seem like structure would be helpful, but that structure actually makes it easier for them to get going. And what they find is when they create these routines and create the organization, they're allowed to be more efficient with their day-to-day daily tasks. So ADHD clients actually benefit from more organization, more structure, even though it doesn't seem like it would fall that way. It really does help them. And then organizing in kids, if you have little ones in your life, how do you keep little kids organized? It's so hard. The key is to start small. You're especially if they're sentimental keepers, which some kids are, they love to keep every art project they've done, every drawing they've done. Just starting small with them and laying little breadcrumbs, little pieces of foundation for you to expand on later. Saying, hey, you got these Valentines. We just went through Valentine's Day at school or Friendship Day. Which of these do you want to keep? Which of these don't really mean that much to you? So letting the children make the decision, but just throwing out the thought, the idea. It's also fun with kids to make it a game. So one time with my oldest, who's now a sophomore in high school, I gave him Monopoly money and I said, hey, we're gonna go through your toys, see which toys you want to keep. And we handed out Monopoly money and he bought some toys. And it was just a fun way to really decide what was his favorite toys and which weren't. You can use a counting method. A lot of times, like let's say you have little toy cars, little, what are they called? I can't even think of the name of the toy cars. But let's say you have all these little toy cars and they have, what are they called?
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels. Let's say you have 20 Hot Wheels, right? What you can do with your kids, you can be like, wow, you have a lot of Hot Wheels. How many Hot Wheels do you think you have? And then you can go ahead and count them with them. So you're practicing daily life, you're practicing your math, you're counting the Hot Wheels. And then you could say, do you feel like you need 20 Hot Wheels? Now, at this point, you want them to say, no, I don't need 20 Hot Wheels. But they might say, yes, I do need 20 Hot Wheels. And that's okay for them to have their opinion. It's okay for you to have your opinion on how much stuff you have. But it's just kind of throwing the idea out there, seeing what they say, and then going from there. So you might be like, oh yeah, maybe 20 Hot Wheels. Where do you want to store them? Do you have room for them? So just asking those questions. Now, if they say, no, I don't think I need 20, you could say, well, how many do you think like you need? And kind of see what they say and say, let's say they say 10. Well, then why don't we pick out your top 10 and then we'll go from there. And that's a great way to have kids declutter without feeling like they're giving something up. For kids, it's always important to really think about making solutions that are realistic and manageable. This is also for anyone in life. What I see a lot of that kind of made me chuckle was I saw someone organize all the Barbie things and it was beautiful. They put the shoes together, the dresses together, the dolls together, the accessories together. And there was like 20 different little compartments. When I was little and I played Barbies, when I was done, I wasn't going to put all my little things in the 20 different areas. It just wasn't going to happen. So rather than making it really hard for little kids to keep up, make it really simple. Hey, all your dolls go in there, all your clothes goes in there, and anything else goes in that bucket. So making it manageable for little kids or also for yourself. Like if it's too cumbersome for you to keep up with, make it something that you can realistically do every single day. Also, when you're organizing for kids or even in your own closet, you need to think of the height of items. So when my kids were 4, 5, 6, 7, I did a lot of storing on hangers of clothing at their eye level. It's you don't want to put things so high up that kids can't reach it. Or if you're shorter, you don't want to put things so high up that you can't reach it. So keeping things at their eye level so that they can easily put things away on their own, or making it so that it isn't super heavy or super cumbersome will make all the difference in your kids actually maintaining a type of system. All right, so here are 4 spaces and zones that you could create today to create efficiency in your home. So this isn't just about the clutter, but also how do I make my home efficient? How do I make myself more efficient? So the first one on the left is actually my house. This is my laundry room, and it's creating a drop zone. Do you ever come home and you have a billion things in your hands from the whole day? You don't know what to do with it, so you just throw it on the floor and there it lays for weeks. It's not very efficient. It makes you come home and just not feel the greatest, right? Create a drop zone. A drop zone is literally where you go to drop things when you don't have time to deal with it and put it away. Because that's real life, right? We don't always have time to put things away. A drop zone is temporary. So the key to a drop zone is you dump it there. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but then you have to remember, hey, 2 days from now when I have time, or tonight when I have time, I need to go through that area. So for my laundry room, it's my drop zone. So in here you look, it was like Christmas time. So I had a dress, I had Christmas plates, I had to go to school, I had a Santa outfit, I had all sorts of things. I had to tell myself, Katie, tonight when you have time, go look through the laundry room and put everything away. A drop zone just gives you permission to dump things and deal with it later in a more efficient and organized manner. The second space you can create today, I hope someone does this. If you do, let us know. It is creating a sacred space. So if you've ever walked into a room and you looked at one space and you're like, I love it. It looks beautiful. It gives me so much peace. That is what I consider a sacred space. It's like the one area in your home where you don't want everyone to dump their stuff. For me, that's my kitchen counter. So this is a picture of my clean kitchen counter. It's my sacred space. I told my family, I said, hey you guys, if you could just leave everything off the kitchen counters, please. It's like the one spot in my home I like to go in and just see nothing there. If you have something, go put it in the drop zone till I can deal with it later. So the sacred space is the one area where you ask others not to dump stuff or put stuff that doesn't belong there. A lot of people will choose this as their dining room table. So, a dining room table is somewhere where a family gathers to eat. And maybe it's become overrun with stuff, but you really want to honor that space and create it a place where you can all come. So maybe the dining room table would be your sacred space. Or it could be something really practical. It could be the place where you pay bills and you keep track of all your paperwork. And when you come in, you want that to look great so you can get to work and know where all your bills are. It's kind of like setting boundaries with your loved ones if you live with other people, saying, I understand we're all not gonna be perfect with our stuff, but one of my boundaries is keeping this my sacred space. And I always like to say, it's not just all about you. Other people can have sacred spaces too. So you could ask them if there's a place that they would like to be honored to. Another space that really makes a big difference is in transit. So what do I mean by that? In transit are things that are you need pretty soon that are either going out the door or going somewhere else. So in transit could be library books that need to get returned, returns to stores, school paperwork that needs to get sent back. Or for like me, like we just had our Valentine's Day party, I offered to bring the spoons. So I got the spoons, I put it in my in transit location. It could be if you're going to a meeting and you need to grab the notes, that might be in your transit spot. So it's just things that are going to be either coming in or going out. And then the last spot you can create that'll really help you out is a donate or sell area. So you have things that you are, hopefully you're decluttering like on a regular, like you see something, you're like, I don't really need that. I need to get rid of it. You have a spot to put it now. So you have a donate pile or a donate box. Or if you decide to sell, you have that sell box. The key here is to put this in an area that's accessible, but you don't want it really where you're like working every day. So you want it out of the way, but still accessible that you can easily get to. Because if it's too far away, if you have it too far out in your basement or in an area that's hard to get to, you're not going to put anything there. So you really want to make it accessible. So I suggest trying all four, but if you get a chance, trying at least one of these areas and creating it within your home. One thing I can say is the drop zone, the sacred space, the in transit, the donate sell. The drop zone especially is very unique to you. Like if you don't have a large home, this might just be like a little box or a little laundry basket, just somewhere where you can drop things to sort through later. Here are some of my super tips. I really narrowed this down because I have so many tips, but I think these are like kind of my top 6. The number one thing that I do with clients, and you're going to not want to do this when you're decluttering, is emptying the space completely within reason. I just worked with a client on their office. It was an entry room office. They had a piano in there, they had a desk, and they just had a lot of paperwork and guitars and stuff. And I said, I know you don't want to, but we really need to empty as much as we can out of this room. Now, did we empty out the piano? No. Did we empty out the desk out of the space? No. But everything else that we could, we emptied it out of the drawers, out of the room. Why do you need to do that? First, it's kind of like completing the project 100%. So often we'll say, I know what's in that closet. I don't know what needs, I know that it doesn't need to go through. I don't need to go through it. When it turns out you do need to take it out and actually look at it because you realize, oh yeah, that was in there. I never knew that. So taking it all out is really essential. The second reason is more mental. You can't see something new and different unless it's a blank space. It's like that creative process. If you've always had that desk in that spot, it's really hard to see it in a different way unless you have it out of the space. The same with closets. If you have always had your closet set up the same way, until you remove things, it's very difficult to see it and see the new possibilities of where things could go. So empty the space completely within reason. If you're doing a large basement and it might take you 2 months to do this basement, you can't empty it out and leave it there for 2 months. So how you work with that is you work in small sections. So if I'm working with a basement, I'm going to completely empty this small section of the basement, do that area, and then move on to the next small section. Number 2, tackle the less emotional stuff first. I realize you might have things from your mother that she passed away, now you have them at home. And you're like, I really need to tackle that stuff. Yes, you can get there, but don't start there right away. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be harder. Start with the low-hanging fruit. Start with the kitchen area. Start with a large vacuum that needs to get thrown out or donated. So tackle the less emotional stuff first. Kitchens and bathrooms are the best places to do that. Number 3, think of your home as real estate. I don't know, but square footage is pretty expensive right now. I think it's like $200 at least. It might be more by you guys in Cottage Grove. So when you look at your home through the lens of square footage, things become less important. And you're like, I really don't need to take up square footage in my home for this item. It needs to go. Also, think of your home as real estate in the fact that you have prime real estate in areas and you have not so prime real estate in areas. So for me, prime real estate is a closet right off the entryway where people are going to put their coats. It's also those favorite cabinets in your kitchen that's like close to everything. Those are your prime real estate. So put the things you use most frequently in those areas. How people filter is, for some reason, they put their wedding dress in the entryway closet and it just sat there for years. And it's like, that needs to go somewhere else because you have prime real estate right here and you could really utilize this space better. So think of your home in square footage. This is prime real estate. What should I put here? Number 4, utilize a baby or quarantine box. I started this during COVID. I called it a quarantine box. Sometimes you just can't make decisions. So let's say you're going through your closet and you're like, oh, I don't know about these like 10 things. I kind of want to keep them. I don't want to keep them. And then you're stuck in this limbo. The best thing you can do is just not make a decision. You could put it in a quarantine box and then just set a goal. Like I would even take a piece of tape and put it on the box and say, check this box 1 month from today or 6 months from today. Now, here's the key. If you want to go in the box, go in the box. Grab out that shirt that you wanted to wear. But after 6 months, if you go back and you didn't need any of that stuff, do you really need it? Somehow, like setting that space of time between things allows you to release that emotion that you had to it. So if you're not sure on something, make a maybe box. You can decide that later. Number 5, use a tape measure and buy your storage solutions last. Measure before you go to the store. I don't buy a lot of storage solutions online. I buy a lot more in store. I go to Walmart, TJ Maxx, or Home Goods. Those are probably my top 3. Dollar Tree actually has a lot of like $3 and $5 organization solutions that are great too. But measure before you go. If you've ever seen, they're called Lazy Susans or turntables. Those are specific depths. So if you want one for your kitchen cabinet, that'll be great. Just know what depth you can fit it in. Because you don't want too big of a one that's not going to fit, but you also don't want too small of a one because then you're not maximizing the space that you have. So finding the right solution and the right size is really key to those correct bins. And then number 6, when you're putting things away or deciding where things should go, ask yourself, where would I look for this if I needed it? Or where would I use this? So don't keep something in the kitchen junk drawer that you would actually use in the garage. You need to keep that out in the garage, right? So where would I need this? Or where would I look for this if I needed it? Or where would I use this? All right. So now you've kind of learned a lot of the head stuff behind organizing. How do you actually get started? There's a bunch of different ways that you can get started. I'm going to show you the next slide. I'll kind of show you some other ideas, but it's play the numbers game. What I mean by that, this is kind of fun. So like, even back when I was in college, I would do this with my friends. I would say, how many jeans do you have? And she'd count her jeans. She'd have like 15. And I'd be like, how many jeans do you think you need? And she'd say 7. Well, then we would pick our top 7 and let the rest go. Another way I did this is I was really diving into minimalism. I tried to declutter the number of things of the year. So for example, in 2025, trying to declutter 2025 things, and I would keep track of that on a piece of paper. That is not for everyone, but for me, it really like motivated me to let go of things and really track what I was letting go of. More traditionally, you could create a cool action plan, like create a step-by-step process. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. Find an online challenge or course or checklist, like a spring checklist. Hey, 10 things to declutter this spring, and just go off that and start working through those different items. And then another strategy you can use is just pick the thing that's annoying you the most in your house right now. What is bugging you the most? Start there. This picture has a lot of things on it, but I love to share lots of different ideas. So in the upper left, it has a hanger trick. So if you turn all your hangers backwards, like today, and then as you wear them, you turn it forward. And you could check like in June or July, anything that you didn't turn forward are obviously things you don't wear. Maybe it's time to let them go. Bottom left is a labeling on clear drawers. If you're a crafter like me, I have a lot of vinyl and a Cricut, so I make a lot of my own labels. But you could also use sticker sheets from Hobby Lobby or a store to make your labels. I do like labeling. Even though this is clear, I do like putting labels on bins. In the middle, I have bathroom organization. Keeping things together in a drawer just really helps. Drawers that slide out tend to have things that roll around, so it just helps keep those contained. In the middle upper, I have 4 pieces of paper. It says to do, to file, shred, and I'm trying to read my little one, recycle. If you have a pile of paperwork at home right now, take 4 Post-it notes, write to do, to file, shred, recycle, and just start sorting it into those 4 piles. If you're not sure on something, just set it to the side or put it in the to file until you know for sure what to do with it. And then I have in the middle kind of right, that's my counter that I did. I believe this was 2018 maybe or 2017. I decluttered 2017 things. Upper right, I have some wrapping station organization. Again, I use the labels, but I use something I already had at home. I have this tall container storage with drawers. But what I love is clever storage solutions. So if you look just to the left of that, there's those chair bags. If you have a chair that is broken, putting your wrapping paper in those chair bags. And then down in the bottom right, I have 3M hooks inside cabinets. I use a lot of 3M hooks. I think they're great. They're low cost. You can change it out easily if you don't like it. Here I have this inside my bathroom cabinet and I have my necklaces hanging from it. I've also seen this where they've hung 3M hooks with a little grabber clipper, and they've hung packets of seasoning inside the kitchen. Like, like the ranch mixes, the chili mixes, and they have them each attached on a little clipper. So 3M hooks can be really helpful. And then the bottom right, I do not have ADD, but if I did, I would definitely need this timer. But that visual timer, I did a lot of decluttering in 10-minute increments. I would say, Katie, go work on this spot for 10 minutes. Once you're done, if you want to keep working, you can, but if you don't, just move on to the next thing. I'm going to quickly go over this. It's just my goal action plan. So it just kind of gives you some ideas of how to create an action plan. And then this is kind of my last slide. So it really just sums it all up. Remember this, it's really not about the stuff. It's about creating a feeling. So what do you need to do? What do you need to add, take away, or change in that space, in that room, or in your home to create the feeling you want for yourself and for your loved ones? So that's really the ultimate goal. And that's kind of really the heart of it. Today, as you walk into different rooms in your home or even at work, what feeling am I getting? What am I noticing? What's really giving me hiccups in my day? And start working on those little things one by one. All right. The end of this just shares a lot of my social media stuff. I'm really active on Facebook, I would say is my top one where you can go and find my content, find challenges I do, or if you have questions after this, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. I don't think we really have a lot of time for questions. I probably have time for like a question or two. Do you mind if we open that up?
Yes, go right ahead. Anybody is welcome to put a question in the chat box or feel free to just unmute yourself and ask your question. You can also get in touch with Katie privately after this as well. I learned so much, Katie. I took many notes and I actually decluttered my island in my kitchen while you were speaking. So thank you for that
Yay!
inspiration. It is
I love the
clear.
efficiency. One thing I would like to share that I skipped over because I didn't know if I'd had time or not. It was a really aha moment for me. I've been doing this since 2016, so almost 10 years. Recently, I worked with a client in an entryway room. The client I talked about with the piano, the desk, the guitar, we were trying to rearrange furniture. So she was trying to decide, where do I want this desk? Where do I want the piano? And we're trying to create a feeling. So I said to this client, where are you when you see this room most often? She's like, every time I come down the stairs from upstairs, I see this room. I said, go stand at the stairs so you have that viewpoint. Look at it and decide, how is this going to make me feel? Like, what do I need this to look like? So even just simple as standing and looking at it and just noticing what brings me either calm or what makes me anxious. I
There
think there
are
was one question.
There's two questions in the chat. Is that okay if we take a few minutes to answer those, Katie?
Yeah,
So Kim asks, I have 70 years plus of photos. Can you recommend a scanner?
I don't really do a lot of scanning. So I'm a scrapbooker. So I just printed 2,500 photos so that I can keep them all in a scrapbook. So I would say start using what you have. It's going to be a long process to scan that many. So I would say scan the best of the best. Remember, we talked about not every picture is the best picture and it doesn't share the memory. Don't scan it unless it really shares that memory. And that might help you narrow down how much you do and make the process go by quicker. So that's my number one tip. If you have 70 years of photos, don't scan everything. Not everything's the best memory.
Two more questions. This one's pretty easy. If I want your assistance with in-home help, how do we reach you for a consult?
Yeah, so I do a lot of virtual decluttering. I do in person, but I am in Oshkosh. So my area is really up to Green Bay at most. You can contact me through my website is probably the best way, or through Facebook Messenger would be another way. I do virtual sessions, which sounds like crazy. Like, how do you help people organize? It's really about having that accountability of someone working alongside you and then just going through the process and me saying, hey, by next week's consult, you should have this, or this done. So it really just helps set that goal and helps you stay on track.
And finally, Alina asks, I have a question about paperwork. I like the 4 pile suggestions. Any tips on how to follow the 5-second rule with paperwork? I tend to get stuck into reading things or figuring out what there is, and paperwork takes forever. Also suggestions for managing paper, mail, etc. day to day.
Oh, what was this person's name that asked this question?
Alina.
Alina. So I'll show you. It's right here in this is called my magic folder. It's a magic folder. What's inside my magic folder? This is anything that I need within the next month. I only keep paperwork in my office of things I need the next month. Okay, so the magic folder is kind of like a in transit box. I'm just keeping what I need right now. School paperwork, bills that have to get paid, um, registration forms, or maybe things I haven't gone through yet. Maybe there's a recipe you wanted to sort or try, or you weren't quite sure on. That goes inside a magic folder in your desk, in your immediate area where you can access it at any time. Everything else that doesn't need access goes sorted into file folders in my basement. It's still pretty accessible, but it doesn't need to be up here with all my other things. So what I would do is I would start a magic folder of anything that needs immediate attention and then anything that doesn't sort. If you have a lot of creative things, you can keep them, but my question would be, how often are you going to know to go look for that creative idea that you found in the magazine 5 years ago? You're probably not. You're probably going to go online on Pinterest and find a new creative idea, and you're going to do that one instead. So just if you're keeping a lot of paperwork that has informational stuff, what's prompting you to go look for that information? Are you even doing that? And if not, can you let those items go?
Great. Well, we're 2 minutes over here. So with that, we're going to wrap up this program. Thank you again, Katie from the Decluttering Queen. This presentation will be available on the Village of Cottage Grove Library Board's YouTube page. I put the link to that in the comments. Thank you, Katie. This was fantastic, and we all learned an incredible amount. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.